Basic word order. In a short sentence, tell me, what did the capybara just do? Let me guess, something like the capybara ate corn. Good English skills, gold stars. But that's not the only way languages around the world order information. What if instead of animal ate food, you used the most popular order, animal food ate, like almost every language in India? Or ate food animal, like in Madagascar? But one order stands out as particularly incredibly unusual. Food animal ate. Meet OSV, the world's rarest word order. In my teens, I craved learning about as many languages as possible. Slogging through texts, I found languages described again and again by their basic word order, in 3 large letters. I studied an SVO language, an SOV language, a VSO language. A decade later, VOS. Another had free word order, as if it sloshed between any it wanted. In my mind, these word order signs took on a life of their own, less as grammatical facts, more essential types. Like a linguistic horoscope whose signs identified any language that exists. The strange properties of this kind of linguistic horoscope left me curious for years. Some signs are quite crowded. Some signs are exceptionally rare. Only recently did I finally return to the books to find out why. Now, so much to read for this, and it started to connect to like everything ever written about sentences. But surprises await, stuff I just gotta share. Today, wonder with me, what is word order? Which languages have different ones and where? Why are some so common? Well, this one is so rare. What were these linguistic horoscope signs I'd been meeting across the years? What did it mean to define every language by where the S's, V's, and O's go in a sentence? Well, try this activity. Say a neutral sentence that states some information. No complications, no questions, commands, or negations. Just facts. Like my capybara sentence, yours should have one verb, an action like cook or eat. Wow, must be hungry. And one subject and one object. Oh, make sure, no pronouns. If this feels rigged, hold that thought. Follow the instructions, and you probably have a basic sentence. Mark the verb with a V, the subject S, and the object O, and voila, your language's type. Its basic word order. There's some mechanics to these 3 letters I wish someone would have sat down and animated for me. They'll matter later. Don't think about it too much, just watch the pretty letters move. Since each type is made up of 3 letters, that means if we move one letter, we can switch between 2 different orders, like moving S from the very end to the very front. Also, if we hold one steady, like pin that S, there are only 2 possibilities. The other 2 symbols, V and O here, swap places to create 2 different orders. However you swap letters or hold them steady, there are only a handful of possible word orders. How many? Well, you could figure this out the hard way, doing our exercise across a planet full of people speaking thousands of languages, eventually realizing you always get one of 6 orders. Or the maths-minded among you spotted we already limited ourselves by how we set up this activity. 1 times 2 times 3 letters makes 6. Either way, all languages fall into one of 6 types. Asterisk. There's a hitch. Even when you follow instructions, often enough you'll assign multiple sentence types to a single language. Sometimes you find one order more, others less. Sometimes it almost feels like there's no word order at all. It's fully flexible. But no matter, these indecisive types are surely a little ant that won't come back to bite us before the video's over. So what is your language's sign? Type. Because intriguingly, our little activity shows us the 6 orders aren't equally common or evenly spread across the world. How many? Where? Step back and count. The majority of us speak just 2 types of languages. The most popular? Not subject, verb, object. That's second. It's subject, object, verb. Notice what both have in common? Putting S first is the most common thing you can do by a long shot. Next, two uncommons both start with V. At a distant third place is verb, subject, object. The fourth is quite a bit less frequent still, and in fact shares something with two rares below it. Spot it? Well, finally, both rares start with O. Drop down to OVS with your subject at the very end. And our order of the day, OSV, I'll say it again, rarest of all. Besides rare, uncommon, and common, we can split top 3 from bottom 3, or most special 3. Did you pick up on what the 3 least common have in common? We'll come back to them, but together they're odd enough that an early big name to do this word order work thought no language might even have them. Where can you catch the usuals and unusuals, the commons, uncommons, and rares? Around the world, SOV, yes, you're number 1. You're widespread. Number 2, SVO, you're common in big pockets, super regions really, but less common elsewhere, also limited to specific families. You 1 in 10 VSO languages out there aren't too hard to find if we try. Together, you 3 types bundle up the vast majority of languages. Where are the 3 least common orders? UVOS are few, but still peek through some places. Lastly, the rarest types are associated with the same area. And with the green long-eared space Jedi, not to split the fandom here, but OSV Yoda uses, at least in English and Brazilian Portuguese. But in our galaxy, on this planet, you do well to zoom in on the greater Amazon, where people speak languages like Apurina and Warau. Back to my earlier question. One last chance to guess. What do the top 3 have in common that you, dear OSV types, are doing wrong? Linguists wondered why you're last in the rankings. Are you flouting some universal trends? Starting with universal number 1, please avoid putting your S after your O. What if these aren't just trends you're defying, but deeper settings? Linguists could spend days comparing lists of word order principles to explain, but notice that V's and O's are normally stuck together, SOV and SVO. And yet, you chose to be one of only 2 types that break up the V and its O. Also notice most of us give priority to our theme or topic, usually the subject, the SOV, the SVO. But you put your object, the least important info, first. When you do that, aren't you distributing information in the most uneven way possible? Oh, and what if those settings are in our brains? Perhaps children learn to set O and V direction, then their stickiness before learning where S goes. In that case, it's like human language itself is against OSV, and humans all share some natural preference. SOV, more common in the past. SOV across all continents, even SOV inside your thoughts. And yet, OSV, here you are. You exist. Time to bite back and ask the linguists, just how universal are your universals? Basic are your basics? Because seems you think you're clocking languages as obviously SVO or SOV, when in reality, well, bring back the mysterious flexible type we set aside earlier. The ants are biting. 4 quick bites from this same continent. In Brazilian Sign Language, Libras for short, sentences shift between SOV or SVO or OSV, depending on the meaning and the grammar of the V and the O. In Warau, storytellers go from OSV to SOV when they introduce a new character. Over time, Spanish word order made Guarani change from SOV to SVO. And Makushi people use OVS and SOV, but one researcher calls for better vernacular data, especially women's speech, to understand more. All this flexing doesn't mean universals aren't fundamental, they're just part of a bigger process. Word order is shaped by settings, but even more by other languages, the ones around yours and the ones before yours. All this gets filtered through seas of change. 4 C's. Linguistic constraints, like in Libras. Context, like in Warao storytelling. Colonization. In fact, multiple authors ask if SVO being so common isn't natural but colonial. And culture, like in Makushi. Which bonus challenges us with, are non-standard vernaculars actually closer to universals? And is what's most normal really variation? I mean, whatever the capybara sentence order, from meaning alone, we expect the food isn't the one doing the eating. Try the activity from before, with a Korean language textbook, and you'll easily call it an SOV language. Do the same thing, but listen to Koreans speak, and you'll learn 2 things. 1, plenty of sentences don't even have both a subject and an object. 2, even when they do, Koreans regularly use OSV order. They aren't alone. Do the same activity again with Maya in Mexico, and this time you'll find basic VOS and still pretty basic SVO sentences. You'll also hear OSV. Our rarest word order. How is it showing up here, though? This isn't the Amazon, and these aren't OSV languages. Well, instead of our linear order of S's, O's, and V's, here's what's basic for them. You state your sentence's topic. Both languages audibly mark it. Then the rest of your sentence is a comment on that topic. What a way to organize information. Now, a topic is different from your focus. We can talk more about this another time. Just a rule of thumb. The focus tends to be before the verb, while the topic tends to be before everything. And that doesn't conflict with, in fact, it often invites sentences that are topic O, focus S, then V. Like Libras, Warao, Makushi, and Apurina, Korean and Maya remind us that people speak with variety everywhere, which really gunks up our neat linguistic horoscope. If not just indecisive languages, but all languages flex, some just have stronger preferences, then word orders aren't signs or categories. They're more like gradients. Why do languages end up with the type they have? Not is, but does. OSV isn't the essence of what any language is, merely a shortcut label for what it does as the outcome of our process, where underlying variation and flexibility themselves are fundamentals. And so it is with Apurina. Remember earlier when I asked if this word order activity felt rigged? Well, capybara sentences, ones with a full noun object, a full noun subject, a verb, and no pronoun, are in Apurina basically and commonly OSV. That said, such full basic sentences appear to be the least common kind of Apurina sentence on record. This makes OSV the commonest order in their most uncommon sentences. If consistency isn't the point of language, being a consistent type isn't the point either. Communication is. SOV or OSV may be less your language's sign, more a messy spectrum of use and variation. That doesn't make them useless, because somewhere in that spectrum, thanks to everything that went into this process, some people still speak a few special languages that tend to use OSV in basic sentences. And the foremost place where that's true is in the Amazon and northern South America. While reading about their rare word order, it was hard to miss stories about each of these people struggling for their lives and languages. Please consider supporting not just the rainforests, but the mouths and hands that speak and act to protect their water and land. Links to more below. Thanks to you and to all my patrons. We finally reached a huge milestone, 1 million subscribers. looking forward to our future, so if you stick around, I will too, for more linguistic tales with you.